the stranger at the AUCTO, and the auctioneer's voice rang out, crisp against the dry Texas wind. Parcel 14, 5 acres, 1 barn, unpaid loan since January, starting at $20,000. Clara Maddox stood at the edge of the dusty field, her hands clenched into fists, her chest rising and falling like a storm was building inside her. Her son Danny, just 7, clutched her skirt with one hand, his sunburned face confused and worried. She blinked against the hot light and stared at the land, her land, or it used to be. The same land where she and Jacob built their life together, the land he died defending from debt, and now it was up for auction, like it was just dirt with no memory. "Do I hear 20? The auctioneer called out, adjusting his sunglasses. A man in a grey suit raised his hand. 25, 30, someone else shouted from behind Clara. Her breath caught. The voices around her felt distant, hollow, like ghosts circling. Her heartbeat pulsed like thunder in her ears. This wasn't just land, it was the last thing Jacob had left them. The bank had claimed it on a technicality, a clause buried deep in a contract that she hadn't understood at the time, because she was a woman, a widow, and in this old-fashioned corner of Texas, widows were weak. The law had required a male co-owner or surviving spouse to keep the deed active. Her name wasn't enough, and she was about to lose everything because of it. $35,000. Going once, she glanced desperately around. No lawyer, no hope, no plan. Danny tugged at her hand. "Mama," tears stung her eyes. "It's okay, baby," she lied, going twice. She stepped forward on instinct. "I object," she shouted, her voice cracking. The auctioneer froze, the crowd turning. Clara's voice trembled, but she held her ground. "You can't sell the land. My husband is here." A gasp moved through the small crowd. The bank rep narrowed his eyes. "Mrs. Your husband passed away 2 years ago." "No," Clara said, louder this time. "He's here. I remarried. Just last week." Whispers. Shock. "You have a marriage certificate?" the rep asked skeptically. Clara's pulse was pounding. She didn't know what she was saying. She was drowning and grasping for anything that would keep her afloat. Then, from behind the crowd, a figure stepped forward. A tall man in a faded shirt and worn jeans, a wide-brimmed hat shadowing most of his face. His boots were caked in red dust. His walk was slow, deliberate, like a man who'd seen war and learned to walk quietly through it. He didn't look at Clara. He didn't smile. He just came and stood beside her. The crowd hushed. Clara's breath caught in her chest. She didn't know him, not really. She had seen him once or twice near the mill road, a recluse, a ghost. But now he stood beside her like he belonged. The banker eyed him warily. "Is this your husband?" Clara's mouth was dry. She looked up at the man. His expression was unreadable, his eyes hidden. "Yes," she said, not blinking. The man finally spoke. His voice was low, rough, like wind dragging over gravel. "I'm Eli Dawson, and you're legally married to Mrs. Maddox." The official pressed. Eli's jaw tightened. "Yes." More whispers. Someone muttered, "That's the man from the old Dawson place." Thought he was mute. The bank rep scowled. "You'll need to file a joint ownership affidavit by sundown, or the land is gone." The auctioneer stepped back, deflated. "Sale is postponed, pending verification." And just like that, it was over. For now. The crowd slowly dispersed. Clara turned to Eli, her breath shaking. "Why? Why did you do that?" Eli looked down at her with eyes like carved stone. "You looked like you were about to drown," he said simply. Then he walked away. That night, Clara sat on her porch long after Danny had gone to bed. The sky was dark, stars scattered like seeds. She held a cup of cold coffee, trying to steady her nerves. Who was Eli Dawson? Why had he stepped in like that? She had lied in desperation. But he, a stranger, had made it real. By morning, word had spread through town. The widow had married the silent farmer. Some folks raised their eyebrows. Others offered forced congratulations. No one quite believed it. Clara visited the courthouse herself to file the paperwork. When she returned, she drove the pickup to the old Dawson farm. It was a rundown place tucked between 2 hills, half hidden by wild trees. She knocked on the door, nerves rattling. Eli opened it. He didn't say a word. "I need to talk," she said. "Please." He stepped aside. The inside was quiet, sparse. A single table, a chair, no pictures on the wall. A rifle leaning near the back door. I don't expect anything from you, Clara said quickly. No money, no real marriage. I just needed to protect my son's future. You saved us. I don't even know why. Eli sat, didn't respond for a long while. Then he finally said, I lost everything once. Someone else's lie. I couldn't stop it. But this time I could. Clara's brow furrowed. You mean, your land? My brother's, Eli said. Long time ago. Someone sold it from under him while he was in the hospital. He died thinking the world was poison. Clara looked at him, suddenly seeing a man who wasn't just quiet, but broken in places she couldn't name. Why me? She asked softly. He shrugged. You looked like him. Same eyes, same fight. She swallowed the lump in her throat. Well, thank you, truly. He nodded once. We'll keep it quiet. No one needs to know what it isn't. As she stepped outside to leave, he called out, You should lock your barn door better. Left it open last night. She froze. How did you? I was passing, he said. Didn't want to startle you. She didn't know whether to be comforted or concerned. The following week, the land was officially secured under both names. Clara received a letter in the mail. Final confirmation. She stared at the papers. Relief washed over her. But something else crept in. A question. How did Eli know exactly what to say at the auction? Why had he said his name so confidently, like he was already involved? That evening, Clara opened a box of her late husband's old things. She hadn't touched it in over a year. Letters, receipts, a few photos. Then she saw it. A letter addressed not to her, but to a name she didn't recognize at first. E. Dawson. Her breath caught. She unfolded the note. Jacob's handwriting, familiar, slanted, ink, faded with time. If I ever don't come home, find Eli Dawson. He lives off Mill Road. He saved my life once when no one else would. He'll know what to do. He's not the kind to say much, but he has a good heart. Tell him I kept my promise. Clara dropped the letter, her hand shaking. Her dead husband had known Eli, trusted him, had written to him before his death, but Eli had never said a word. Why? And then, as if the universe wanted to answer, the porch light flickered. She walked outside. Her barn door was open again, but this time, the rifle Eli had once left by her door was gone. The letter he never meant to hide the barn door creaked softly in the wind. Clara stepped forward slowly, flashlight in one hand, Jacob's letter in the other. The old boards of the porch groaned beneath her bare feet. Somewhere behind her, Danny slept soundly, unaware that his mother's world was tilting again. Inside the barn, everything was just as she'd left it, except the rifle was gone. She ran her fingers along the empty spot on the shelf, dust clinging to her skin like proof. Her breath caught. Eli had left that rifle as a silent promise that she and Annie were safe, and now it was missing. Her first thought was, did Eli come back and take it? Her second was worse, or did someone else? She checked the barn doors again, locked them tight, and returned inside. But she didn't sleep that night, not after that letter, not after discovering her dead husband had known the man, now pretending to be her husband, the man who had been watching quietly from the edges all along. The next morning, Clara drove to Eli's farmhouse with the letter in her purse and suspicion burning in her chest. She knocked, no answer. Knocked again, harder. Still nothing. She peered through the dusty front window, empty, silent. The same battered coat hung by the door, but Eli wasn't home, or didn't want to be found. She waited 30 minutes, then left a note in the mailbox. We need to talk now, Clara, on the way home. She passed the sheriff's office and decided to stop. Sheriff Cole Weston had known her and Jacob since high school. He was decent, if a little slow, with that easygoing drawl and calm eyes that rarely showed urgency. Something wrong, Clara? He asked when she stepped in. She hesitated. There's been a strange truck outside my house a couple nights in a row. Black, no plates, just watching. The sheriff scratched his chin. You sure it wasn't one of the Branton boys? They mess around sometimes. It wasn't a prank. And I found my barn door open last night. A rifle's missing. That got his attention. Rifle no. Eli Dawson's. He left it for me. The sheriff's eyebrows lifted slightly. The quiet one. Thought he was half furious. Clara pulled out the letter from her purse and placed it on the desk. Did you know Jacob knew him? He picked it up and read slowly. Well, I'll be. Why didn't he ever tell me? Why didn't Eli ever tell me? The sheriff leaned back. Your husband didn't talk about what happened in El Paso much. Said he'd made mistakes, paid the price, and moved on. Maybe this Dawson fella was part of that. What happened in El Paso? Cole sighed. All I know is, your husband got into trouble with the wrong people. Some land deal gone sideways. Threats, debt. One day he came back bruised, changed, quit talking about business, focused on you and Danny after that. But he never said how he got out of it. Clara's mind was spinning. Maybe Eli's the reason he made it back alive. Could be, Cole said. But if that's true, why is he hiding? That evening, Clara returned home to find a small envelope taped to her front door. No name. Inside, a folded sheet of paper typed, neat. Your husband wasn't who you thought he was. Ask Eli about the land in El Paso. Ask him what he gave up to save Jacob. He won't tell you. But he should. No signature. Clara's hands trembled. Her eyes scanned the trees beyond the yard, heart racing. Was someone watching? She rushed inside and locked every door. That night, she sat in her kitchen, rereading Jacob's letter for the 10th time. The memory of Eli's quiet eyes haunted her. That man had walked into a crowd of strangers and claimed her in front of everyone, risked his name, his reputation, and still hadn't asked for anything in return. Why? Why the silence? And why was someone now trying to drag his secrets into the light? The next morning, Eli came to her porch. He didn't knock. He just stood there until Clara opened the door. She didn't say anything at first. Neither did he. Then she handed him the letter, the one Jacob wrote for you. Eli's jaw tightened. He read it, slowly, carefully, then folded it and looked past her, toward the fields. I wasn't supposed to get that, he said quietly, but he trusted you. He said you saved him. Eli nodded. That was a long time ago. And now I find this on my door, Clara added, holding up the typed message. He glanced at it, but didn't take it. Someone's watching us, Eli, someone. Who knows what happened back then? They want me to ask about El Paso. Silence. Talk to me, please, she begged. You stepped in to protect me and Danny. I deserve the truth. Eli sat down on the porch bench. His shoulders sagged like a man too tired to carry his secrets any longer. Jacob and we met in El Paso 10 years ago. I had land, he had money. We trusted the wrong man, a developer who was using fake documents to buy up properties cheap and sell them high to city builders. It blew up. When Jacob found out, he tried to report it. The guy threatened him, threatened me, said he'd burn my farm and put Jacob in jail. Clara's mouth was dry. So what did you do? I took the fall, Eli said, signed a false confession, spent 9 months in county jail, lost everything, farm name, friends, all gone. She stared at him, stunned. Why would you do that for him? Eli looked away. Because Jacob had a pregnant wife, a future I didn't. He begged me, said he'd pay me back, said he'd never forget. And did he? Eli's face hardened. He never called again. Clara sat slowly beside him, feeling the weight of it settle around them. I'm sorry, she whispered. Eli shrugged. Not your fault. Maybe this is how he made it right, giving you that letter. But if this story is buried, why is someone digging it up now? Eli's jaw worked for a moment. Then he said, because the man who set us up, he wasn't just a conman. He was part of something bigger. And if he's back, Clara felt her skin go cold. Then what? Then you and Danny are in danger. That night, Clara moved Danny into her bedroom and kept a bat by the door. She couldn't sleep. Her world had changed again. Her fake husband wasn't just a quiet loner. He was a man who had given up everything for her real husband. And now, someone wanted to use that past to hurt them. At 3:17 a.m., a noise outside startled her. Headlights again. She peeked through the window. The same black truck, no plates, parked halfway down the dirt road. Watching this time, she didn't hesitate. She grabbed her phone, called Eli. He picked up on the second ring. They're here, she whispered. I'm coming. He said. 10 minutes later, Eli's truck pulled up beside her house. He stepped out with his rifle, the missing one in hand. I took it, he admitted, didn't want it in the wrong hands. She didn't argue. Together, they crept around the side of the house. Eli pointed toward the trees. There's someone out there, not just watching, marking patterns. How do you know? Because I used to do the same thing. When I wanted someone scared. Clara's breath hitched. They waited in silence for an hour. Then the truck's engine roared to life and disappeared into the darkness. By sunrise, Clara made a decision. She would not be hunted in silence. If this was about land, lies, or Jacob's past, She was done running from it. She would confront it, whatever it was. But first, she needed to know who exactly had tried to destroy Eli and Jacob all those years ago. The man behind the Eliandi. The wind howled through the cracks of the farmhouse windows as Clara stared at the folded paper on her kitchen table. It was an old land deed from El Paso County. She had found it buried in the bottom of Jacob's old lockbox, one she hadn't touched in over a year. Her hands trembled as she read the name again. Benjamin Creed, her husband's old business partner. The man Jacob had said was just a greedy investor who disappeared when things got rough. But now, with Eli's story, the black truck, and the typed warning note, Benjamin's name had taken on a much darker weight. Clara rubbed her temples, her thoughts a storm. Her husband had left her pieces of a puzzle, but not the picture on the box. She picked up her phone and called Sheriff Cole. "I need everything you've got on Benjamin Creed," she said, her voice hard. "Especially what happened in El Paso." There was a pause. Then the sheriff said quietly, "You'd better come by the office." 30 minutes later, she sat across from him as he dropped a manila folder on the desk. Creed's face stared up at her from an old mugshot. Slick hair, cold eyes, too clean. "Used to run a property firm," the sheriff said. "Creed Development Group, shady operation. Sold fake shares of land to investors, then flipped them illegally. Got busted in El Paso, but the man never served a day." Clara's eyes narrowed. Why? Had connections, bought his way out. The man who took the fall. He tapped the folder. Eli Dawson. She swallowed hard. That case got buried. Sheriff Cole continued. "Someone made sure of it, but Creed, he went silent for a few years. Now he's suddenly buying up land again." Here Clara's stomach dropped. "You think he's after my property?" The sheriff nodded grimly. Wouldn't be the first time he circled back for unfinished business. That night, Eli sat across from her at the kitchen table. "I know the name," he said quietly. "Creed's not the kind of man who lets the past go. I'm guessing he found out you're Jacob's widow, and I'm still breathing." "He's coming for the land," Clara said. "He knows we're tied together." Eli stared out the window, jaw tense. "If he comes," he said, "we don't let him scare us." "I want to know everything," she said firmly. "What you gave up, what Jacob did, what Creed threatened." Eli hesitated. Then finally, he spoke. "I had 40 acres near El Paso, small farm, family land. Jacob had just inherited some cash from his uncle and wanted to invest. We partnered up." Creed made it sound like gold highway expansion, city bids, big profits. He looked down at his hands, but it was fake. He forged deeds, used our names. When Jacob found out and threatened to go to the feds, Creed gave him a choice: disappear, or Eli takes the blame. And Jacob let you take the fall." Clara whispered. "Eli didn't speak for a moment. Then he begged me, said he'd lose you, said you were pregnant, that everything he had was riding on staying clean." I agreed. I figured I had nothing left to lose. Clara's eyes filled with tears. "And when he came back, he never told me." Eli gave her a small, sad smile. "He wanted to start over. I don't blame him. But now, Creed's back, and he doesn't play fair." The next morning, the nightmare returned. Clara woke to find the barn spray painted. "Thieves, liars, burn eye, dire." Down she covered Danny's eyes and rushed him back into the house. She called Sheriff Cole, called Eli, but she already knew this was no prank. That night, she packed a go-bag and kept Danny close. Eli stayed on the porch with his rifle across his lap, watching the woods. "Why now?" she asked him quietly. Eli didn't answer right away. "Then, because the county's putting up bids for a new bypass road. Your land sits right on the projected route." Clara's eyes widened. "Creed wants it for development. Guaranteed profit. Millions. But only if you sell." "I won't." "I know," Eli said. "That's why he'll try to scare you out, or make it look like an accident." Her blood ran cold. The following day, Clara drove to the county office to check the zoning plans. As she waited in the hallway, she noticed a sleek black car pulling in outside. A man stepped out impeccably dressed, sunglasses, confidence like poison. Benjamin Creed. Her breath caught. She ducked slightly, heart racing. He didn't see her. He walked straight into the building like he owned it. Clara followed quietly, keeping her distance. He walked into the county commissioner's office. 10 minutes later, he walked out smiling, a leather folder in hand. He passed by her and then paused. His eyes scanned her face. "You're Clara Maddox," he said smoothly. widow of Jacob Maddox. She said nothing. He smiled. Your husband and I go way back. He was a smart man. Shame what happened. Clara's fists clenched. What do you want? Your land, he said without flinching. You've done a fine job keeping it together, but let's not play games. I can make you a generous offer, more than it's worth. Enough to start fresh somewhere safer. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, he said softly. Ask your fake husband how much it cost him last time. Then he turned and walked away. That night, Clara told Eli everything. The meeting. The offer. The threat. He didn't look surprised. I knew he'd come to you, he said. And he doesn't bluff. We need to go public, Clara said. Tell the sheriff. The news. Someone. Eli shook his head. Creed's careful. No fingerprints. No trail. You want to win? Yes. Then we play dirtier. The next morning, Clara drove to a nearby town and visited a friend of Jacob's, a lawyer named Tanya. She handed her a copy of the old El Paso land deed and the letter Jacob had written to Eli. Tanya scanned it. This could be useful. What do you mean? If we can prove Creed faked this deed and Eli served time for it, we can build a case. Fraud, land theft, misuse of power, but we'll need more. Like what? Evidence. Someone who saw it happen. Or paper trails connecting Creed to the forged documents. Clara thought for a moment. Then she pulled out the anonymous letter she had received. He's nervous, she said. Someone close to him is talking. That night, Clara placed a message in the local newspaper's anonymous tip column to the one who knows about Creed in El Paso. Meet me Sunday, 9 p.m. Dawson Farm. Come alone. This is your chance to make it right. She prayed someone would come. Sunday night arrived. The wind was sharp. Eli and Clara waited on the porch in silence. The lights dimmed. Rifle ready, just in case. Then headlights. A single car. Older model. No plates. A man stepped out. Nervous, thin. Late 30s. I don't have much time, he said. If Creed finds out. Clara stepped forward. Who are you? Name's Travis. I used to work for him. Creed. Back in El Paso. I handled paperwork. Knew what he was doing was dirty. But I needed the job. And now I've got a daughter. And a conscience. He handed her a USB drive. Everything's on there. Deed scans, fake IDs, payoffs, even the confession. Eli never wrote. I saw him forge it with my own eyes. Clara's hands trembled as she took it. This could put Creed away. If you're lucky, Travis said. He's got judges, cops, maybe even here. Then he turned and drove away into the night. Eli stood silently beside her, eyes hard. You did it, she whispered. No, he said. You didn't. But the victory was short-lived. The next morning, Clara's house was broken into, files gone, laptop smashed, Danny's drawings torn off the fridge. But worst of all, the USB was missing. The final SD. Kitchen looked like a war zone, drawers flung open, chairs knocked over, papers shredded. Clara stood frozen in the middle of it all, heart pounding. Danny clung to her side, confused and frightened. Why would someone do this? Mama. Clara bent down, brushing his hair back, because some people are afraid of the truth. Baby, but we're not. She picked up what was left of her shattered laptop. The USB drive, gone. The only copy of the evidence that could expose Creed, vanished. But Clara wasn't the woman who froze anymore. She was the woman who had survived. A crooked system, a dead husband, and a man who had given up his life to protect hers. She was ready to fight back. Later that morning, Eli pulled up in his truck and froze when he saw the damage. His fingers clenched around the steering wheel, jaw tight. They were in and out fast. Clara told him, voice calm but sharp. They took the drive. Creed, Eli muttered. He's getting desperate. Clara turned to him. Then Clara turned to him. He should be scared. They filed a report with Sheriff Cole, who seemed more rattled than helpful. You say you had evidence? He asked, scratching his neck. That kind of thing. Needs a chain of custody. Physical proof. I had it, Clara said, narrowing her eyes. Now it's gone. You think that's a coincidence? Cole shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. You're up against the big man, Clara. Real resources. Real lawyers. Eli spoke, his voice low and firm, and real blood on his hands. The sheriff looked between them. What do you want me to do? Watch, Clara said. Because I'm going to do what the system won't. Back home, Clara stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked herself in the eyes. She didn't look scared anymore, just determined. She opened Jacob's box of old photos, notes, letters, the same place she had found his message to Eli. At the bottom, she found something strange, a receipt from a storage unit. El Paso. Her heart skipped. It was dated 2 weeks before Jacob died, a handwritten note on the back, for ED, just in case. Clara clutched it like it was gold. Eli, she called. We're going to El Paso. It was a 5-hour drive, long, flat roads, endless silence. Eli didn't ask questions, he just drove. When they arrived, Clara led the way to a dusty fenced-in storage complex. She showed the receipt and Jacob's signature, Unit 18B. The key still worked. Inside was a single locked cabinet and a cardboard box. Eli opened the box. Inside, a second USB paper copies of forged deeds, original emails, even a voice recorder with hours of audio between Jacob and Creed. And then, Clara found it, a sealed letter, with her name on it. She opened it, hands trembling. Clara, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it back. I'm sorry. I thought I could outrun what I was part of. I was wrong. Creed lied to me, used me. And when I tried to expose him, he came for Eli. I begged Eli to take the fall, because I was scared of losing you. I was weak. He was the only brave one among us. If Eli's with you now, trust him. He's a better man than I ever was. Use this evidence. End Creed, and please, forgive me. Jacob. Clara sat on the floor, crying quietly. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder, a rare human touch from a man who barely ever reached out. We have enough, she whispered. We end this. They returned home and drove straight to Tanya, the lawyer. She was speechless as she read the documents and listened to the voice recordings. This is enough to blow it wide open, she said. Forgery, fraud, perjury. This could bury Creed. We do it public, Clara said. Let everyone see what he is. That night, Tanya scheduled a press conference in front of the county courthouse. Clara would speak. Tanya would present the evidence. Eli stayed in the shadows. Are you sure? She asked him. He nodded. This is your moment. You're the one who never stopped. The next morning, a small crowd gathered outside the courthouse. Locals, reporters, a few county officials. Clara stood in front of the podium, holding Jacob's letter in one hand and the recorder in the other. My name is Clara Maddox, she began. I was a wife, a mother, and then a widow. And for 2 years I believed my husband died, trying to protect his family. That was only part of the truth. The crowd grew silent. My husband was involved in a corrupt land scheme in El Paso, led by Benjamin Creed, who now operates under Creed Development, right here in our county. He tried to leave, but Creed threatened him. He forced an innocent man, Eli Dawson, to take the fall. She held up the letter and the files. We have proof. Emails, recordings, forged deeds, and we will not be silent anymore. Gasps, murmurs, flashbulbs. Tanya stepped forward, handing out copies of the evidence to reporters and officials. Then, tires screeched behind them. Creed, he stepped out of a luxury car, face tight with rage, trying to keep his composure. This is slander, he barked. None of that is admissible. That man is a criminal. You forged his confession. Clara shot back. We have the original documents, the storage unit, and your voice threatening my husband. Creed froze. The reporters turned on him. Cameras flashing. Tanya moved forward. A motion has already been filed with the district court, and will be contacting the state attorney's office this afternoon. The sheriff, finally stepping up, placed a firm hand on Creed's arm. Mr. Creed, I think you need to come with me. As he was escorted away, Creed turned toward Clara. For the first time, he looked small, powerless. You think this ends with me? He hissed. No, Clara said calmly. It ends with the truth. The case made local headlines within hours. State investigators arrived the next week. Creed's records unraveled. Bribery, land fraud, tax evasion. Eli was exonerated. His conviction overturned quietly after 10 years. Clara's land was safe, legally, publicly, and forever. A month later, the sun rose over the Maddox farm. Quiet. Danny played under the oak tree, where Jacob had once built a swing. Clara stood on the porch, sipping coffee. Eli joined her, hands in his pockets. They're offering me money, he said quietly. Settlement, for what I lost. Are you going to take it? He shrugged. Don't need it. Just want peace. She looked at him, eyes soft. You deserve it. He gave a rare smile. I wasn't looking for anything when I stepped forward. That day, he said, didn't think anyone would ever say my name again, let alone clear it. And now, she asked, now I think I might build something again. Clara glanced down at the land. So might I. They stood in silence. For a while, the wind brushing past them like a quiet promise. Finally, she turned to him. I never thanked you properly. You did, he said, when you believed me. She reached out slowly and placed her hand over his dot. Eli didn't pull away. Epilogue, 1 year. Later the Maddox farm had a new name on the mailbox. Maddox Dawson Ranch. Clara ran a modest, produce business from the land. And Danny now had 2 swings under the tree. People in town didn't whisper anymore when they saw her and Eli together. They nodded, they smiled, they remembered. Because some stories don't need fairy tales. They just need truth, courage, and a second chance. The end.